welcome to the podcast. It's Andrea, and I'm so happy to meet you again on a Monday or whenever you're listening to this. We just love sharing the stories of social media and schools. It's been a tough year. We're getting through it. Your stories really, truly matter. I am so excited today to introduce you to Maria Feitlich. She is the communications specialist for Glenview School District. She's going to share how social media fits into her role. She's going to talk specifically about some different campaigns that have worked well for her school district. Specifically, I want you to listen to the substitute stories because I think all schools right now across the country, maybe the world, I'm not sure, are facing some substitute shortages. And so they've got a unique spin on trying to attract some more subs to their school district. They also recently received an award for their hashtag BeWell34 initiative, which really focuses on mindfulness and well being, which all of us should be focused on right now, right, within our school districts. And then she's even going to dive into what her biggest social media mistake has been, which is always just a tried and true like reveal moment. We're real vulnerable. We're sharing out what our biggest mistakes are. So I love it. I'm really excited for you to meet Maria. But before we kind of dive in, I want to ask you one favor. If this podcast is helpful to you, I would love for you to share this episode with one other school communicator, somebody that is passionate about school communications, that does social media for their district or their school. Would you just share, whether you send a DM or you email them or you send a Facebook message, text them, maybe a link to this episode or a link to the podcast? Because our goal, my goal, is to help more schools. We want to give them stories so that social media isn't so overwhelming. We want to make sure you don't feel alone. And by adding just one more listener, that's going to help us reach that goal. So I really appreciate that. If you would just share that. And now let's get started with today's episode. Today's K-12 PR tip is a simple thing that you can order from any local, probably store, or I order a lot of stuff on Amazon, but it's a letter board. It's a board that actually you can put words on. And if you're looking at this on our YouTube channel, I'm showing you mine, which is currently promoting my social media boot camp program that's designed for K-12 schools. But a simple letter board is a lifesaver when it comes to social media for your school, because you can put a variety of messages out on a letter board very simply. I mean, it takes you the time to spell out and use emojis and things like that on the letter board. But when you don't have an image, it can be such a simple tool, and it can live right there in your office. You can put a favorite quote on there. You could use that for a social media post as along with being decoration for your office. But it's so simple. I'll share a link in the show notes to the one that I actually order and I've given out for gifts. But this makes a great tool for your toolbox for social media, and it's just a simple letter board with all of the letters that you can put out on it. Mine is about maybe a 12-inch by 12-inch square, and so I can feature a lot of messages on there. And I've seen some great posts. Some people even illuminate it with lights around it. They can make it look super fancy, but very simple for social media posts. So that's my tip for today. Now I am excited for you to meet Maria Feitlich. Welcome to the podcast, Maria Feitlich. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here and we get to chat a little bit. You've been doing your homework about this whole podcast interview, so I think it's going to go really well.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive a little deeper in with you.
Yes, absolutely. So, why don't you share your background and kind of how you personally got into school communications?
So I got into school PR or school communications right out of college. So a couple months after I graduated, I landed a job at the second largest school district in the state of Illinois.
Oh, wow.
And ironically, that was the school district I graduated from. So it definitely spoke close to my heart. So it was 50, 56, 57 schools, so 40,000 students. So that's really where I started my career. So I did a lot of district-wide videos, managed operations of a radio station out there, supported press releases, annual reports. And then I ventured out into the nonprofit sector and did marketing and communications for a nonprofit, helped with internal, external communication. And then the last year, I got reunited with the school PR family, and Kathy Kajijian brought me on board here at Glenview School District 34.
Awesome, and we all love Kathy, so that's
Mhm.
great that you get to be on her team. So what, Maria, did you specifically go to school for?
Yeah, so I went to Northern Illinois University, gotta give a shout out to my fellow Huskies, and I studied communication studies, and my emphasis was media studies, and then I tied in journalism, so I did a lot of broadcast journalism, so I was very embedded in the video component
Okay.
of communication, so video broadcasting, video production, field production, script writing. It kept me on my toes rather than sitting in a lecture hall, so I really appreciate that, and I loved public speaking as well, so
Okay.
kinda tied in.
And did you know when you were going to school that you wanted to be in school communications, or were you not really looking, at that?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think, like, growing up, both my parents, immigrated from Poland, so I'm first generation, so, like, kinda going through school, everything was new. The communication that we received from the school and the district, I just kinda thought everything just funneled through the school, didn't even realize it existed, and then when I saw this position at U46 pop up, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." Because I moved back in with my parents right after graduating, and I was like, "This is perfect." So I knew a lot of the people there, and it was funny because one of the assistant principals like had moved up while I was in college, and she was like an assistant principal. She also was my coach for Powder Puff, so I didn't know what to call her. I was like, "Do I call you Doctor So and So? Do I call you by your first name? Do I call you Coach?" So it was a little bit of a twist too, because they're like, to some people, I'll always be that 16-year-old student. And then versus like coming from a professional side and just the experience that I gained through college too. So
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. Well, you and I both didn't know school communications existed, although, you went to the biggest school district. I went to like the smallest little school district, and we didn't have a school communications person at all. So, that's really interesting. Well, you've certainly found your calling, and it's awesome to be able to put all those skills to use. Video production. What year did you graduate from college, if I can ask, Maria?
2015.
Okay, so you are a youngin, but there's so much opportunity in video production, and I think the people that can do that well are so gifted. So that's awesome. So now you are the communication specialist for Glenview School District. So how does what does that role look like, and then how does social media fit in with your responsibilities?
Yeah, good question. So, my role predominantly supports digital communication. So, that's website, editing, even supporting the schools in their website, video and photography work, and then developing social media strategies to really boost engagement. So, here at the district, we're big on Facebook for the community, for the parents and the families. And then we also have a Twitter that a lot of our staff really engage on. So, it kind of ties in, they all kind of speak together.
Yeah. And so what are you responsible for then? I'm assuming you're responsible for the district then Facebook and Twitter accounts?
Yep, so we oversee the district and then we have access to the school accounts. So occasionally we'll support them wherever we can. For instance, for first day of school, when we go visit the schools, we'll snap a couple photos. Occasionally we'll post it on the district site, tag the school, and then eventually share it, or vice versa, depending on how their engagement is. So,
Okay. And so how many different schools do you have in D34?
yep, we've got 8.
8.
So 2 middle schools, and then the rest are elementary schools. So
Okay.
our elementary schools are divided. We've got primary and intermediate, so K through 2, and then 3 through 5, and then we do have an early childhood program in one of our schools.
Okay. And so who does the social media for those schools? Is it somebody like a secretary, or is it the principals, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a combination, so it's up to the school, but a lot of what we've seen is the principal or the assistant principal, and then they also sometimes have a point person who tends to be the one that always takes photos at events or school classrooms. So sometimes they'll have access to it, but it's predominantly the one of the principals, and then sometimes, occasionally, the person that also edits the website also oversees that. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Okay, awesome. So how do you get content for what you're sharing out like on the district page? I know you said you go out and get photographs and do some of that yourself. But how does that all work?
Yeah, so a couple different things. So some it's just a couple forwarded emails. They're like, "Hey, let Maria know or let Kathy know," somebody from the communications department. What's nice is we've actually got an elementary school right next to our administration building. So sometimes if we ever need kind of like a boost of energy from being in the office, we kind of head over there and see what's happening in the classroom. And then we also do get the newsletters that the schools send out, so we know what's happening in the school.
Sure.
And then this next month, we're looking to revisit something in our email signature where parents and families and even staff can submit stories, can book us to come to their classroom. So that's something we're looking to launch within the next month.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm sure you're not alone, and everybody listening is like, nobody tells me when stuff is going on. And so you're trying to tackle that. Can you kind of explain what you're trying to do with the email signature then? Are you setting it up through like I use Acuity for like scheduling, but I don't know if it's just a Google form or how are you doing that?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of research on that, and I
Okay,
remember you had mentioned the Acuity, if I'm saying that correctly. So I think what we're going to end up doing is creating a Google form where staff can either click it, and then it'll be either a Google form, or even we'll build it out on our final site website, where that way families can also share stories, and then we'll get notified when somebody's either submitted a story, shared an image, and or just want us to come to their classroom.
okay, awesome. Yeah, because you know that there's amazing things happening everywhere. It's just a matter of getting those and just trying to invite people in, making sure that they have that outlet is powerful. So,
Mhm.
Maria, you've done a lot of different social media campaigns, and I want to really talk through some of those. And one is really near and dear because this is going to air. I didn't even tell you in November, November 15th, and a lot of people are sharing or facing substitute shortages. And so you did some interesting things with that. So can you kind of tell me about that campaign?
Yeah, so what we did is we reached out to our HR department and even some of the schools of who are your rock star substitute teachers. And they sent me their email and contact. And so I sent them two questions. I said, "Hey, we are doing this campaign where we want to feature substitutes to encourage others in the community to apply." And so I asked them two simple questions is why did you become a substitute for District 34, and what do you enjoy about it? And from that, I would pick their testimonies and create a simple graphic. And then every Monday at a certain time, we would just post those out. And we did it for a good 8 weeks, right before the school year ended, as we were going back into like an adaptive in-person learning. So it was just fun because there was a lot of love and support for these substitute teachers, and like you can see that the parents and the community members applauded these substitute teachers because they're well known and they've been around. And what's nice is their stories, I think, really spoke. So some said that some were a lawyer where they're just like, I just wanted to do something kind of off to the side or pick my own schedule or have that flexibility. So we're looking to reboot that again this fall,
Okay.
and then possibly even do like 60-second videos of them of sharing kind of their experience and getting more current substitutes that are in the pipeline.
Yeah, because those stories speak to people, and it's just unique that you said, "Hey, we had a lawyer, and they're looking for a change of pace, and all of a sudden they start substitute teaching." So it might be introducing this concept that some people don't even think of that would be a possibility, and there is such a shortage. So it would be great if I can get a link to one of your favorite stories, and we are going to put that in the show notes for everybody so you can kind of look at what the visual is and see what Maria did. It was very easy. I mean, did you have any problem getting some of those stories from those subs or
No, it was pretty easy. I think out of the ones that I've reached out to, and it was probably for a start like a dozen, we got about 8, 9 back.
okay?
So that was nice, and what was nice is, like, I didn't we did a little bit of prep work beforehand, but I realized, like, we could reach out to them, and then once you already have, like, 3, 4, like, you're good for the month, like, schedule them out once a week. And we didn't necessarily announce that we're gonna, like, do this campaign, we just kinda started posting it.
Right.
And then it got a lot of traction, to start off the week, so that was helpful.
That's awesome. And my question is, did it help? Did you get some additional substitutes? Do you know?
I believe so, I
Okay.
don't know, like, the actual number because we were also looking for volunteers during that
Okay.
time, so I know that we've got a slew of volunteers at that point, so I'll have to check back with our department if there was, like, an enormous, increase in applications last spring,
Yeah,
so
but it's great to be able to put that out and try. And it obviously must have been successful because now you're looking to do it again, and even add the video element. And so I'm assuming that'd be something that you're going to help coordinate.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I love it. So you also have done some other features around some summer reading photos, which obviously is not summer right now, and some retiree features. So can you just kind of talk me through a few of those types of features that you've been able to do?
Yeah, just a couple good
Yeah.
ideas that I think might help too. So we did one for the summer because summer is kind of a slower time when it comes to social media. So we actually reached out to our staff right before the school year, saying, "Hey, if you have a picture of you reading over the summer, like make sure to send it to us." And we got some fun and wild photos. So there was a teacher that was reading next to a horse, so they're just fun, and it was nice just to, like, see the teachers, like, in the summer kind of relaxing, enjoying family time. There was a couple other teachers that went out by the lake, so it was fun getting that engagement, and then also doing retiree features, so featuring the retirees, kind of giving them their own spotlight. And there were a lot. So we kind of decided, do we want to just do this all in one week or do we want to expand it? I believe if I look back, it was, I think, a week or at least like 10 days where we would just like give a shout out to this principal that's retiring, like virtual applause, give a heart. And so we kind of did a little bit of that. A couple other things that I did at the first district that I worked at for those who have high schools is we did a letter of intent signing day. So we featured the athletes that signed their way to become student or college athletes. So that was a lot of fun. And something that I learned that I wish I probably would have done back then was tagging the university that they're going to,
Yeah.
because that probably would have boosted up the engagement. I mean, it did by itself, just because everyone is excited to feature. And then we also featured we did a superintendent scholarship, so that was partnered up with the Educational Foundation to award $25,000 scholarships to first generation college bound students.
Oh, awesome.
So that spoke very closely to me just because I was a first generation college bound student as well. And it was great because we did a video montage so then we can show the donors of the foundation. Here are the stories, here's who you've impacted. And then we occasionally would pull apart that video and do little graphics on social media. So that one was always touching to me. And then also featuring top 2%, for those who have high school districts, is just pulling a quote, or what advice do you have for the freshmen coming in? Um, so it's nice to hear stories from students who have kind of gone through the path.
Yeah.
So those are a couple high school ideas.
Yeah, I love it. And yes, you can get more traction if you tag schools on that. Love the reading. So the retiree features, you're a big district, so you probably had a lot of them, but you decided to kind of highlight one person at a time versus a whole group at once, right? Okay.
And we also, since there were a handful that retired in the beginning of the school year, so we might not have had a picture or maybe they didn't send one in. So the amount that we got back was just enough for us to cover the week and give them enough shout outs before the next one published on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, and I just think every person that's retiring has a different connection to people. And so there's a great opportunity for engagement for them giving, people sharing stories or congratulations or whatever. And so being able to just spread those out, even if it's over a week or 10 days, you're actually going to get more. engagement and more reach with those stories if you do that. So that's really good advice as well. And building your content around some of these features, it makes social media a lot easier, right, Maria?
Mhm. Bingo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so you're not like, oh my gosh, what am I going to post? Well, you can schedule some of those things out. So that's powerful. So you mentioned using Twitter, for a lot for connecting with staff. And your district actually recently received an award for your hashtag Be Well 34 initiatives. That lives on your website, and the award was from the Illinois chapter of the National School Public Relations Association. Can you tell me a little bit about the Be Well 34 initiative and kind of how it ties back to social media?
Yeah, so our Be Well 34, so hashtag Be Well 34 is a virtual space that we have on our website that provides resources for students, staff, and families that revolves around mindfulness and well being. So we partner up with the student services team and the psychologists to really help us create content for that. And so turning that into social media, because sometimes new families might not know where to find anything, find items on our website, is we ended up launching a hashtag Be Well 34 Wednesday. So you can think of it as like a Wellness Wednesday, but it's targeted and branded for our district. And to tie into that, we also do a wellness challenge with our staff in the right before spring break, and we're actually going to launch one in the fall. And some of the challenges require them to like post on Twitter. So we'll say, hey, um, do a plank with a friend, and then everyone would tag hashtag BeWell34. And then we also created a Twitter beam on our face or on our website. So then all those posts actually filter in there. So those who don't have Twitter can still view what the staff has been sharing.
So, do you only do that tweet beam when you're doing those challenges, or is it always live on your website?
The tweet beam now always lives on our
Okay, so
website.
it's grabbing
Mhm.
anything with hashtag BeWell34.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so
So on our main site, we've got every time we tweet something, we always start with hashtag we are D34. So we'll be like hashtag we are D34, and we applaud our custodian workers for national maintenance and
custodian.
custodians. Thank
Hey,
you.
we'll help each other because I'm sure it's.
There's the Polish accent coming out.
I love it.
So we would kind of start that off and kind of start the train that way. So whether it's hashtag we are D34 and today's Be Well 34 Wednesday challenge is, and then it's like 60-second dance party. So we always start that way to help with the branding for Twitter as well.
Okay, awesome. So, and then do you pay for TweetBeam or is that something that's free?
That's actually a good
Okay.
question. Our rockstar admin assistant kind of spearheads that.
Okay.
So
I
I'll have to circle
I
back
know
in
there's
with you
there's
on
free
that.
versions that you can get, but then if maybe but a lot of it is not expensive. So,
Mhm.
it really helps tell that story. And I'll make sure to link to the website, um, on that portion of your website, although it is pretty prominent that people can find that when they go to your website, which is linked also in the show notes. What did it mean to earn that award from the Illinois chapter just recently?
Yeah, it was really exciting, especially since it was a vision that I think Kathy Kajigian started before I even started up at D34, and then being a part of like the website training and kind of taking over that and managing that and working with our student services teams. It was just a collaboration of good work that like we've kind of put through, and to really build out the page and have it be successful and build out a kind of a couple off programs like the wellness challenge for staff, and then the Be Well Wednesday social media campaign that we did. So it was just exciting to be able to have an award that multiple hands were in, and we kind of brought everything to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scanning real quick because Kathy, who is the president elect, right? for
Correct.
the NSPRA, the National School Public Relations. She was on episode number 50. So if you guys want to listen to, and really we focus that conversation with Kathy all around the Be Well 34 campaign. So if you go to socialschoolforedu.com/podcast/50, the number 50, you will be able to listen to that episode, which is great. And Kathy's actually going to share her webinar, her presentation version with our membership group coming up this spring, all about this program. Because I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're really into year 3 with COVID,
Mhm.
and all of us are really struggling. I mean, mental health and wellness is so important, and that topic is not going to go away. And so, for us to be able to lead within our schools, where not only school communicators are feeling it, all of our staff and our subs and our support staff and our administrators are feeling it. And so yeah, definitely listen to that episode. And then if you are a member, like Maria and Kathy are, they'll be able to enjoy that presentation in the spring of 2022. So that'll be helpful. Maria, can you share one of your biggest social media mistakes? This is like bearing all, right?
I was really thinking about this one. So I've done like the normal mistakes where I would put the wrong date. So I would put like Tuesday, March 7th instead of Monday, March 7th.
Right.
So that's an honest mistake. But one thing that I did is I did a video. This was back at the other district where the video was called "All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten." So this was the first year we launched full day kindergarten, so it was like the class of 2029, which now that I think about it, that's coming up. So these kids are growing up. And so I went to this elementary school and videotaped a handful of these kids where they're just like, oh, I learned about this, I learned reading, I learned math. And then posted it, published it on Facebook. It was getting good traction. And then we find out one of the kids was on the no photo list
Oh,
and no video list. So it was like, "Oh, no." And we kind of were trying to cross our T's, dot our I's, because we sent, like, a letter to the family just saying, like, "Hey," kinda giving them permission, but, like, we had already asked that in registration. So it was kind of like my bad for publishing and not, like, double checking, and then, so just working with the teacher and the principal. So that was kind of like a bummer because it was already boosting out engagement and then having to take it down, change it up a little bit,
and
and then putting it back up there.
yeah, and then we've kind of all been there where it's just like, especially it has to be when something's performing really well, and then you're like, "Oh,
Mm,
no." Especially in a video, it's not like you can just edit it, where in some cases, although Facebook is really challenging, it's changing a lot of things right now, so that can be hard, but sometimes you can change out images and you can remove images from a post and add stuff in. You can't really do that with video. So you kind of had to restart over, but the good thing is that
yeah.
once you knew, you took action, right? You can't just ignore
Mhm.
it.
And there were also, like, a couple times when I would do video clips, or even, like, a full video, and I would publish the video and then I would look at it again, I would notice, like, I would leave my tripod in the back, so my tripod is in the video shot. And then I kept doing it, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna kinda laugh at this, and this is gonna be my signature move." So, like, in my videos, I'm gonna make sure my purse is in the background or my cell phone. Kinda like graphic designers, like, secretly put their, like, signature somewhere hidden in hidden in a piece, so I've done that with a couple videos as kind of like my signature secret move.
I love it. Now everybody's going to have to watch the videos on Maria's page just to see if they can spot that. As a parent with the kids reading the books, there was always like the little ducky that was hidden somewhere. And I even wrote a children's book. I don't know if you knew that, Maria, but
I
I hid
do.
an owl in each picture, and so I incorporated that as well. I guess it should have been really like a hashtag, right, or something
Totally.
social media related, a little Twitter bird or something, but it was an owl. Anyways, as I get off topic, so how do you, just kind of to end this, how do you kind of stay on top of social media and the trends and what's really working best for schools? Do you have anything, kind of a secret in your pocket to help stay on top of it all?
Yeah, good question. I would say the biggest is sometimes we're on Facebook or Twitter at work, and then once we're at home, we just like don't want to be on social media. But that's actually sometimes your prime time is like doing that research of just like what are people posting, what are your sphere of influence posting, and then kind of taking advantage of that. So I know sometimes like on LinkedIn, you'll have, I mean, that's more of like a personal professional site. Like occasionally videos would be like rock star, like they're getting all these hits, but then, like, in 2 weeks, it's like, "No, it's just the content, like, you don't need a graphic." Like, those are the ones that are getting more engagement, and just kind of asking yourself what's worked. And then also don't get caught in, like, just the scrolling because 'cause I'm guilty of that, and then it's, like, 15 minutes later. So kind of being proactive and seeing what other schools are doing. So I love the challenge that you guys launched for the membership crew of what school districts are you following, seeing what's working for them. I mean, it may work for your district, it might not, but just experimenting that and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And then seeing what the trends are, because obviously when Facebook launched, that was what, back in '08, Facebook looks and feels different, even though really it's a white page with a blue border, right?
Right.
But things have changed, so it's just kind of diving into it and kind of doing your own research is something that I would recommend.
Yeah, you mentioned something really good in saying, "Hey, if you're looking at it yourself, what are you paying attention to?" Because and then thinking, "Okay, how can I apply this to the school?" Because this is probably, whether or not you're the ideal community member that's watching your page, but you know what's standing out to you. So how can we use that for our schools? I think that's great. So, what is the best way, Maria, for people to stay connected to you?
Yeah, I would say definitely LinkedIn. So I've got a personal LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, awesome.
Um,
Well, I'll link to your LinkedIn profile, and then I've got your Twitter handle as well. And I've got your email. Do you want to share that, or do you not want to share that with our listeners?
no, go ahead.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
I'll put that in the show notes, you guys, as well, and so you'll be able to look at all of the different channels that D34 is running for the district, along with their Be Well 34 campaign. Definitely reach out to Maria; she's doing a lot of great things, and thanks for being such an active member, also in our membership group. We love school communicators that are helping each other out, and we're learning together, and that's really exciting. We're all here to make it better for one another. So keep up the great work, Maria. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate all that you do for our crew and all the school communicators out there. So
Yes, awesome.
we'll definitely be in touch.
Yes, great. Well, listeners, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.